Jake, we took this from the site. Scheme inspirations for Harold Fannin Jr., rookie tight end, and how the Browns will use them. Take us through what you're seeing here and how you think this might work.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, they need to use Harold as a sort of Swiss Army knife, and obviously he is a far more productive tight end than some of the guys that I tried to cross compare him to, or just look at usages. But he can do a little bit of everything. I think he's a better blocker than people give him credit for. He's a better runner than people give him credit for, and I think he certainly has proven that he can catch the pass and create after the pass. Bowling Green did a nice job of getting him some positional diversity. He was in motion a lot. They put him in the backfield and split backs. Hell, they even had him run the football behind the quarterback every now and again. They just he was their best football player, and they used him like a football player, as you can see there. So he is fun, and I think he's gaining confidence at practice. They are using him in a lot of their 12 personnel looks. They're using him and David. They'll get Blake Whiteheart involved, and then Brendan Bates can get involved a little too. Those are the four I think make the roster. But as you see from Fannin, and he's doing this at camp. He's in the slot a little bit. He's in the backfield a little bit as a traditional fullback or a split back look, or he'll slide outside and play some wide receiver. So I wanted to look at, like, you'll see 44 there go in motion down the line from a tight end wing alignment. That's Kyle Juszczyk, the Medina young man, who's now one of the best fullbacks in the NFL, period. Just some of these creative tools that they can use for, a player of Fannin's athleticism who's similar to Juszczyk, just a bigger guy in nature. But yeah, watch, you'll see them sneak him through the line of scrimmage here, which was a pretty popular thing wide zone teams were doing last year. The Rams were doing it a lot. Can the Browns get into this world, get a little tight end leak up the sideline as you'll see him go through like he's blocking? We'll bootleg the opposite direction a little bit, and then we'll, defense's eyes in the backfield, and then you got an easy throw at the sideline. This stuff like this, he can do as a better athlete than some of the secondary tight ends they've had before. Like, nothing against Jordan Akins, but they didn't think he was much of a blocker. They really haven't had much of a guy who can do a little bit of both, live in a little bit of both worlds there. So again, here's just lined up in the backfield, kind of similar look. And these are looks that the Browns are going to use, kind of applying, moving him around. And like I said, it was in the wing last snap. You put him in the backfield on this snap. Sells sort of that lead zone, wide zone lead that they can run from a two-back set, and then it gets the same concept. It's going to turn him up the sideline after he runs past who he's supposed to be blocking, and you can kind of have those guys disappear. But this is the goal here, is that they can create some schematic answers for their quarterbacks to make life easier. So I wanted to pull some of that. I also pulled, as you'll see later, a little bit of what the Dolphins do with their fullback Alec Ingold. So some RPO stuff, or there's just some different cheat motion things where you can put the football in his hands and let him get upfield quick, right? So that's an example. And then I tried to look at teams who use more 12 personnel, like the Bills with Dawson Knox and their top end situation there. Dalton, I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head.
Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid. And then I wanted to look at Isaiah Likely, how they use him diversely when Mark Andrews is also on the field. And I understand that Baltimore lives in a little different world with their quarterback, but nonetheless, these are just inspirations for how can we get him involved? How can we use him in a way that sells run and pass effectively, keep teams in more base personnel or three safety looks instead of those exotic, corner looks, and get better coverage players off the field, right? And take advantage of that. So yeah, I made a full video there that's got a lot of stuff in it that you can find at Browns Film Breakdown as we continue to plug forward. It's game week all of a sudden.
And you know what? What you're getting at is they got to find a way to get a matchup they like with Fannin and David Njoku, and that's going to be a key to the offense this year.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, you got to pinpoint places you have better players than they do. I think that's something Kevin could get a little better at, in my opinion. So I hope they do sort of find those weak links on the opposing defense this year and try to really attack them until they adjust and get out of that look defensively.